Hey guys, it's Hayes with CheatSheetPros.com, and today we're going to take a look at the NFL Week 6 slate. Yeah, Week 6. So let's go ahead and open up the cheat sheet and walk through this. You'll probably notice I did a little promo this week of $39.99 for any new members, and that gets you through the Super Bowl. It's basically like a 4-month pass for less than $10 a month, and the best part about that is this is the peak time right now because NBA is getting ready to start, college basketball is getting ready to start, NFL, college football, and there's also PGA. So there is just so much. You'll never find anything that cheap anywhere else. It's dirt cheap. Plus, some people pay just to be in the chat group because there are other people like John who does NHL. He posts a lot of stuff for DFS and picks. And then David, he posts plays on sports that I don't even know, soccer and overseas baseball. But anyways, I'm going to go ahead and leave it up for Saturday afternoon. So if you want to get in on that, I had a bunch of people squeeze in last night or say they wanted to get in, but they didn't have a chance to. So I'm going to go ahead and leave it up. It's on the website, $39.99, gets you all the way to February. So 4 months. So today's October 10th, so it'll get you to February 10th past the Super Bowl. And it's all access. There's no, you have to pay this for golf and this for, everything's there. Like, what's the benefit for me with this is just I don't have to reach out to people every single month like, hey, your renewal's coming up, or hey, Venmo again. This is just boom, you're in. I don't have to deal with it. Enjoy it, have the chat, whatnot. So anyways, that's my promo. So as always, we're going to go ahead and take a look at the NFL cheat sheet. As always, when you open this up, we're going to have a bunch of tabs down here at the bottom, which I just realized you can't see. There we go. So we have our main tab. This is good for DFS. It has salaries, projections. It has all the positions ranked. And this year we added in, the fantasy points like we do in other websites. We have FanDuel, DraftKings projections, average value, and all that good stuff. Over here on the bet model, if you want to dig into a game, click inside the home team. You can flip through here and you can see the schedule. What is new that you probably didn't see in the last video is I added the power ranking for the opponent team, so you can kind of see how the team does. Like, for example, Dallas here, they played the Giants the Giants were ranked 30th at the time and played a close game with them, and then they played a tougher team, Chicago, they lost. Then they played a really tough team in Green Bay and tied 40-40. Then they played a weak team in the Jets and beat them 37-22. So you kind of get an idea of how they do versus good teams, bad teams. And then also over here, I added in all of the power rankings because one of my pet peeves is I want to see everything side by side and see kind of where they're at. So I have these little arrows that kind of point at the two teams so you can see on the scale where they sit. And as always, we have all of our data here. And then I added in this, you probably didn't notice it, first downs allowed. And then, okay, offensively, first downs per game and first downs allowed per game. And then the ranking, because I've been watching a lot of first downs and I look to see, if a team had 25 first downs and only allowed 17, they had a huge edge there moving the ball. But if they had 5 turnovers, they probably lost the game. Scoreboard tab, this is what we'll flip through for our bet models. The new thing here is I also brought in the first downs per game and added that over here on another column. Game logs, everything. Well, nope, actually I take that back. I did add something this week. So I added in the hit rate for player props. So for here, so this is our player prop, this is our projection, these are the games they've played and all the details. And then this is the hit rate. Now the only flaw to this is if QB was not starting and they have zeros these first 3 weeks, it's going to calculate all of the games. So their hit rate's going to be off, but that's a few and far between scenario. So for example, here we can see Achan, his prop is 56.5 rushing yards. And then this is what he's done over the last 5 weeks. So he's only hit 40% of the time. And then his receiving yards is 32.5, and he's only hit 20% of the time. So you can kind of see this, and we have it for all the players. So for here, for receivers, it's basically receiving yards, receptions. We also have anytime touchdown prices in there. So if you're scrolling through, I use this a lot for DFS and fantasy as well. Oh, or here's a good one to show you. So Darren Waller, he was on my nuke parlay. His anytime TD was plus 270, and he scored 3 touchdowns in the last 2 games, has 9 targets, 8 grabs. He's a big target in the red zone, and as we know, there's no Tyreek Hill, and they can't run the ball, so I thought 270 was really good. I think the nuke parlay I posted in the group paid 140 to 1, so that's worth Taco Bell money. I mean, $2 will pay you 280, worth a shot. As always, our advanced DVP, this is always sorted here by total allowed, and then you can see what the team allows per position, how it ranks if you prefer ranking, and then we do each position. So like here for running backs, we can come through, go high to low, and say, okay, Josh Jacobs is in a really good spot. Yards per carry is one of my favorite stats to look at, so Kyron Williams has a good setup. Ja'Cory, if who knows what they're going to do with him, but he's got a good setup if they can keep him going. Genty's in a smash spot here for like a longest rush. He always breaks a long one. Rico's going to get the start again. Chubba was ruled out, and et cetera, et cetera. Well, here's a good one. So Scattaboo comes up. He went up against the 25th ranked team for running backs. Now, they weren't giving up a bunch of touchdowns, but 4.7 yards per carry, and we saw what he did. 98 yards, 3 touchdowns. He absolutely torched them, so that was kind of fun to watch. And then over here, if you're playing DFS, we have our stacks tab. This is sorted by a stack score. We can see what the average of the stack is, the current projections, current value, and then what the Vegas total is. I always sort this by stack score. And, you know, something in this top 10 to 15 will give you a good breakup. So if you're looking for, like, for example, scrolling through here, you see a lot of Dallas, Kansas City. There's a Detroit stack. Well, that's a Monday night game, so we got to scroll down. And then you can see down here like Rattler, Shaheed, Jawan Johnson. That's a pretty cheap stack at 12.6. And it just gives you some idea to get the DFS juices flowing. And my absolute favorite is the props tab, which I usually do this on the update Thursday, Friday, sometimes Saturday, mainly Friday. This week we had a lot of questionable players. So yeah, I had to do another update this morning on Saturday and drop it. And I always sort this by hit rate over last 5. So it has these high hit rate props up top. And you can just kind of scroll down through here, earmark. I always highlight the ones that I like. And so we're going to flip back through here and look at NFL Week 6. So this first game's already over. So the Vegas deal isn't pulled because I re-updated the sheet. So we're going to throw that game out. And then flipping down through here, I'm looking at kind of my yardage model, my power ranking model, kind of ESPN, and see what they do. Now, I always say this, but our model does not take into effect injuries. So as always, Baltimore with no Lamar Jackson and 5 people hurt on defense. Of course, our model is going to look at that line and be like, oh, we love Baltimore. Nope, throw that one out the window. We don't want to mess with that. So for this week, some of the plays that I do like the Jets. So Broncos. So Broncos -7 looks really good. Our model has it 24-18, pretty close. However, the Jets have not been very good. But we're going to take a look at that game. That's a good game for a teaser. I really like New England -3.5 here. Our model has it 26-20. The Saints just have not been that good, and New England is doing really well right now. I also like the Rams. And what I love about these 7-point games, so you could take like Denver -7, Rams -7.5, put it on a 6.5-point teaser, and then basically get pick 'em for Denver, Rams for a straight bet. That's always fun. Seattle, Jacksonville, I think this game goes over the total. I'm curious to see kind of what happens in it. Jacksonville's defense has surprisingly been really good. I saw something on ESPN this morning, and it was pretty interesting, but that's one to look at. Dallas, it's hard to back them with their defense, and then Carolina has actually been moving the ball and doing well, so I'm going to stay away from that game. So our model likes Cleveland +6. Cleveland defense can be really good. Dylan Gabriel did not look bad last week, and Judkins will slow the game, run the ball, so I'd probably take the points there with Cleveland, but again, it's not one of my favorite plays that I posted in the premium group. Chargers, Miami. I'm curious to see what happens in this game. I still like the Chargers. They have a great defense. Herbert's had a couple down games, but I think he's going to bounce back and do really well. And as always, we were on Indy as one of our plays last week, and they absolutely rolled, which made me feel stupid when I teased it. But our model has this 29-14 over Arizona. Indy is at home. Also another great one for a teaser at 7. I think when I posted my teaser, I can't remember. I always post my plays in the premium chat. But I think I did Denver, Rams, and Indy for 1 on a 6 or 6.5 point teaser. I don't quote me on that, but I think that's what I did. And I also brought in some of the unders if our model projects a significant under. So here, the total's 47. We have it at 43, so under. I typically don't bet unders. That's just a pet peeve of mine, but I do put it out there for people that like to bet unders because they are profitable. Tennessee, Vegas. Oh my gosh. Hopefully Genty can finally blow up and have a skaboo game. And, I mean, he's in a good spot here. But laying anything with Vegas, I mean, they're 1-4 ATS, so you can't feel good about laying any points with them. And then Tennessee banked off a little win last week. San Francisco, Tampa Bay, this is one I also think goes over. It's at 47. Our model has it at 48. These two quarterbacks, Mac Jones, Baker Mayfield, they can sling the ball and they can score. The thing that worries me is Mike Evans is out, Chris Godwin's out, and Bucky Irving is out, so Tampa's going to be down, so they're going to have to throw a little bit. So as long as it's a back and forth game, props I like in this one are like BTTS, so both teams to score X points. So like both teams to score at least 15. That's a fun one to put in there. Cincinnati, Green Bay. Of course, the Packers are going to win this. 2 touchdowns. Cincinnati's been absolutely awful. Chase Brown hasn't been over his rushing yards anywhere close. So DK finally dropped it from 50-55 down to like 44.5. Green Bay has a tough defense, so he's probably getting into a 30-35. If you can get an alt under of like 60.5, I love that. If you were going to bet aside, of course, I would lay the 14.5 with Green Bay. However, one of the bets I like are the race 2 on DK. So I have Green Bay race 220, and it was only like minus 200 or minus 230. So I put that in there with Rams race to 20 and pretty much got that about an even bet. So those two I hit pretty good. But that way you don't have to worry about a backdoor cover with the QB coming in and throwing an 80-yard touchdown to Jamar Chase and squeaking in a 10-point game, making it look a lot closer than what it was once it's over. So I like the race 2 points. It takes the line out of it. Detroit, Kansas City, I'm going to save these because this is a Sunday night game, and I may go to it. I have a friend that has tickets, but he listed them on StubHub. I don't know if I want to pay that. I did buy Christmas Day game tickets. That should be a really good game. I watched something on ESPN today when they were breaking it down where Detroit runs a lot of man coverage, and Mahomes is really good against man coverage, and Detroit's going to have a couple defensive players hurt. So this is a game where we could see a whole bunch of points. Hopefully Xavier Worthy's healthy and in there. But I'm not going to release my play on that game yet. Right now, I would probably tease Detroit up because if you take a 6.5, you get Detroit plus 9. This should be a good game. Chicago, Washington. For some reason, I just cannot get behind the Bears. And they're 2-2 ATS, but Washington, I did not think would win that game last week, and they came out and won it. And I don't think they even had McLaurin on the field, so that kind of impressed me. So I'd probably lay the 4.5. Our model likes it. We've got it 34-25. But that's not one of the games that I did post. And then I also flip back through here on the bet model, and I look at the game. So like Denver, we're looking at, so they're 3-2, but what I see here is they've scored a lot of points, 20, 28, 20, 28, 21. So they're moving the ball, getting in the end zone. They knocked off Philadelphia, put up 21 points against what we thought was a good D till they faced the Giants. And then the Jets, look at what they're allowing, 34, 30, 29, 27, 27. Fields is just not a passer. He's not going to have a good game against Denver's secondary. I think they're going to struggle because then they're forced to run the ball. Denver can stop that, so I think Denver gets away with this one. Saints have not been good. They've also, now they did surprisingly beat the Giants, but if you look at this game, the Giants had 5 turnovers. So the Saints didn't really do anything on offense. It was just the Giants blew the game. And then other than that, they've given up 31, 44, 26, and 20 points. Now, given they've had a tough schedule, San Fran, Seattle, Buffalo, that's pretty tough. But I think New England can pull this one. New England mopped Carolina 42-13, which you can see they ranked 27th. And then they played Buffalo, who was really tough. I can't remember the line on this game, but they ended up winning 23-20. I thought they may cover, but I did not think they would win. But if you're looking at DFS or season long, look at their schedule coming up. 29, 32, 25, 28, 31, 30. Now, the Giants are probably going to move up after this week, but they have a pretty soft schedule. So either Ramondre Stevenson or Travion Henderson, one of these backs needs to emerge because they have just a cake schedule. But I do like the Patriots. That was one of the games that I had posted this week. And then flipping down here, of course, we're going to go against Baltimore, their first game without Lamar. Houston, who was absolutely atrocious, mopped them 44-10. So the Rams have an excellent defense. Baltimore's not going to be able to run. I would fade Derrick Henry. He just hasn't been there. And if they can't throw the ball, Lamar's not under center. Derrick's going to have no room to run. So pull him out of your fantasy lineups unless you have absolutely no one else to play. The Rams should walk away with this game. And if nothing else, the race to 20 should be pretty good. Going down here, Jacksonville. This is going to be a good game. I think this goes back and forth here. We can see, look at some of these totals. So Seattle's put up 31, 44, 23, and 35 points. And then Jacksonville's put up 26 and 31 and 27, 26. So other than Houston, the 17, they've been pretty good. And you can see Seattle's really good at the red zone TD rate. They have a 72% clip. Both teams are so-so on the defensive side, but I think this game goes over. I'm really curious to see what happens there. That could be a good DFS game. Flipping down here, Dallas, Carolina. I'm going to stay away from this one. Pittsburgh, Cleveland. God, Cleveland's defense is so good, but they have these games where like Detroit just mopped them. I don't think Pittsburgh can do that. And then they played a tight game against Minnesota. They played a really tight game against Green Bay, which they should have lost that game 10-0 or 10-3. Baltimore was a tough game, and they played down to their opponents. I don't think they're going to blow anyone out of the water, but Dylan Gabriel, I think he can manage the game. I don't think they win this, but I think that's a really good spread on the game, but I would lean to Cleveland and giving them a shot. Miami Chargers, we've already talked about this one. I'm going to speed this up, kind of go through that. Indy, we like that. So here we can see the thing that worries me about laying the 7 with Indy, and if that's your only option, I'll go ahead and do it. But they played San Francisco close, 1-point game. Then they played Seattle close, 3-point game. Then they played Tennessee, who was awful, played them close, 1-point game. So Arizona never really kind of gets away. These first couple games, New Orleans, Carolina, two of the worst teams. They won by 7, they won by 5. They should have ran all over them. They didn't. And then they had some tough opponents and a horrible opponent, and all those games were close. So they play up or down to their opponent is what it looks like, which is typically the thing with Arizona. And Indy, they've just been mopping people. So they played Vegas 40-6. They played Tennessee, ranked bad, 41-20. Denver, tight game, won. Miami, horrible team, fleeced them. And then they played a good team in the Rams, end up losing that one, which the scoreboard doesn't reflect the game. So that's an interesting one. I love it on a teaser because the Rams or the Colts are at home. I think they can do it. This game, there's just absolutely no consistency. I hope Vegas can get a win, but I'm a Kansas City fan. I live in Kansas City, so since they're in our division, I hope they do not. I'm actually going to cheer for Tennessee, but if I had to bet this, I would probably go Vegas. Indy's just a really tough opponent. Chicago, they played close. Washington's a tough opponent. Chargers is good. They played them tough, and then they beat New England early on, so we'll kind of see. We don't really know what either one of those teams is at this time, and Brock Bowers has already been ruled out, so that kind of hurts them, and they're not a good spread team. This game has to go over, right? 47 points. Look at Tampa, 38-35, 25-31, 29-27. I mean, that one's over 50, that one's over 50, that one's over 70. And San Fran, they're scoring, and Mac Jones is not bad. We'll take a look at him in the DFS side. Flipping down here, Green Bay, I mean, you can't really say anything else about that game. It is what it is. And then the Kansas City game, we'll break all these down later since that's a Sunday night game. But let's go over to our DFS and our props. I'm just going to go ahead and keep this video going. So it looks like about 18.5 minutes is when we flip over to props. So let me make a note on that. So if people are only looking for props, they can jump to this part of the video. So the first thing I typically do is I go over here to the props tab. I sort this high to low, and I go down and I kind of look and see what I like. So I like receptions, receiving yards, rush yards. Those are my favorite 3. When you get into pass yards, pass attempts, pass completions, those are a little bit more difficult. And then, where'd we go? Game logs. And so I'm just going to flip through some of these and show you some of the plays that I came up with. Now, you probably saw last week the big squares thing that I posted. I did post that again this week, and I did like 3 levels. So I have like a easy one up top that's usually 2 or 3 plays at plus money. And then you add another play, and it gets it to almost plus 200. And then you add another play, and it skyrockets it. So that's kind of what I was posting earlier. And so this is how I flip through these games. So let me find a good one in here. Let's see, Denver. Okay, we'll look at this one. So on every game, you should be able to find 3 prop plays to do a same game parlay and get you at plus money. One of the things that I noticed here, so the Denver's pretty decent, really good against the tight end. Pass catching running backs, they are not good. So that's going to take us over to Breece Hall. We're going to look at Breece Hall, and we're going to see how has he done in the passing game. Well, he's done really good. 6, and 5 targets the last 3 games, which you can see here. 31, 30, and 42 yards. So you could say, 4 catches, 30 yards has kind of been his floor this last 3 games. So even if you dumb this down to something, 2 catches or 3 catches or even 4 catches, whatever you feel comfortable with, you can do 15 receiving yards, 25 receiving yards, and mix and match these. And I mean, it's going to give you a good payout. Let me see if I can find mine. I typically write all mine on a little notepad, and then I sit in front of the TV with a highlighter, and it's like old lady bingo squares. I just start marking stuff off. And I cannot find out which one it is, so we're just going to keep going. So Breece Hall receiving is one of the ones that we're going to put in there. J.K. Dobbins rush yards. He's been pretty consistent. You can see he's hitting here at an 80% clip. His prop is 69. Whoops, did I move that? Is 69.5 yards, so he needs 70. And he's been over it in 4 straight games. 76, 83, 101, 79. And he should get more. You can see his carries vary, so 14, 11, and then 16 and 20. And these, so if they're winning, he's getting more carries. If they're losing, he's getting less carries and they're throwing the ball more. So hopefully that makes sense. I mean, that should be pretty common sense if you're betting on football. He's really not involved in the passing game. He catches 1 ball and has 1 or 2 targets. So avoid the 1.5 catches. But look at his rushing yards. This is a game they should win. Denver has a good defense, so I like him to go over his rush yards. And I think I did an alt. I have anything from 50, 60, 70 alt rushing yards depending on the parlay. If I did squares, a round robin, an individual square. And I kind of mixed and matched. He's one that I do like. If you want to throw in another leg here, we have R.J. Harvey. These last 3 games, he's been worked into the passing game more. So 3, 5, and 3 targets and 3, 4, 3 catches. So if you wanted to juice that up, you could take 2 catches, R.J. Harvey, and boost that. Sutton, he's going to be the only receiver you really want to go with. 118, 81, 99 yards. For some reason, his prop is only 60. So on my nuke parlay, I had 70 or 80 yards, and it was like massive plus money. But, I mean, that looks good. He should be able to get 60 without a doubt. Denver has a tough secondary, but you could go Garrett Wilson here. He's getting all the targets. I don't really trust that, so I went with Sutton on mine. Flipping down, the wide receivers 2, 3, don't want anything to do with. Another one that you could add if you want to juice it up is Evan Ingram, 2 catches. So I can't remember, my base parlay was 3 legs that I posted, and then I added in to juice it up for a 4th leg was Breece Hall, either receptions or receiving yards. And then the next 2, if you wanted to go to like plus 475, it was Evan Ingram, 2 catches, which he has 8 across the last 2 games, 4 and 4, and Harvey, 2 catches. So if you add 2 and 2, that really cranked it up. The other one that I really like is Mason Taylor, and I think I had him at 3 catches. So look at his target, 6, 7, and 12. So he's a good short, intermediate route, dump off guy. He's got 4, 5, and 9 catches, so he's increasing. He's getting a ton of targets these last 3 games. He's really taken off, so I really like him for 3+ catches. You could go to 4+ catches. That's his line, but 3+ was priced really well, so that's one that you can go with. Fields I'm going to stay away from. Nicks I'm going to stay away from just because I could see this going either way. So Dobbins rushing yards, Breece Hall receiving yards or receptions. Bonus boost, R.J. Harvey 2 catches. Sutton, I like his receiving props. Evan Ingram receiving props, and Mason Taylor. So my favorite 3 are Dobbins rushing, Cortland Sutton receiving, Mason Taylor 3 catches. My add-on is going to be Breece receiving if you want to bump it again. And then if you want to bump it even more, R.J. Harvey and Evan Ingram 2+ catches. So that's kind of how I put that one together. Let's flip down here, take a look at another one. So Stafford, Cooper Rush, there's no stats here. I didn't pull him in for the 1 week. I meant to do that, just didn't get around to it. So what I notice here, if you want to go for a nuke play, Stafford passing yards, but I don't think he'll need that. You can see in these games where he's throwing for north of 350. These are tight, close games, and they're scoring a bunch of points, but he also has the game where they can just run the ball, which they should be able to do. And then looking here at the defensive stats, the Rams, this basically just says, hey, we're really good. And Baltimore has been really bad, and they're even worse. And they're giving up 4.7 yards per rush. So with a 14 or a 7.5 point spread, the Rams should win this game on the road. they should run the ball because that's the path of success. Now Stafford will get his. He'll throw for at least 200, but to throw for 350, I really doubt it in this game. So I do like Kyron Williams to go over. He has 75.5. You can take 50 plus, 60 plus rush yards. That feels pretty good. I mean, he's got 66, 66, 94, 77, 65. And this was a close game. This was a close game. This was a close game. And then this one was a blowout, and he had 17 carries. So 60 should be pretty good. If you can only get the normal line, 75.5, I think he goes over that probably 70% of the time, so it should be pretty good. He is involved in the passing game, so his rush receiving yards are also in play, but he should have a good day here. It just depends on how many carries they give Corum. And you can see here, he got 5, he got 8, he got 9, and then only 1 last week in the tight game. So Derrick Henry, 75.5. I'm definitely going under on that. He had a huge week 1 against Buffalo, but since then, look at this. 11 for 23 yards, 12 for 50 yards, 8 for 42 yards, 15 carries against Houston, only 33 yards. So now he's going up against a Rams defense that has the third least amount of yards per carry at only 3.5, and they're only giving up 93 total rushing yards a game. And there's no Lamar, so Henry's got to go under there. Puka, I'm kind of curious to see what happens in this game because if it's a blowout, I don't know if Puka's going to get 9 catches and 96 yards. That's kind of tough. I like dumbing it down to like 6 plus catches. He should get that if they get in third downs and they need to throw. Devontae Adams is the other guy. Everybody's pretty aware of them. Tight ends I'm going to stay away from, but this is one thing I want to point out, this target chart. So look here. So all the targets, the top 2 target leaders every single week is Puka, Devontae Adams. Now you'll see like here, it kind of bounces around like Zay, yes we know, and then it was Bateman, and then it flipped down to Mark Andrews. So kind of all over the place. But here, this is the most consistent route tree, Puka, Devontae. There's no one else that's even close. I mean, their targets alone, those are the 2 guys you're going to target. And even going forward, if you're playing something down the road, slap those 2 guys together, combined yards, one or the other, and usually one of them is going to score as well. Flipping down through here, you can see here in week 2, they each scored. Week 3, it was Adams. Week 4, they both scored. Week 5, it was Puka. But usually one of them is at least getting a touchdown. And what are their anytime touchdowns? Minus 117, plus 112. So not bad. And that's kind of how I break those games down. Let me find a good one here. That's TDs only. Gosh, there's so many good ones. And you can mix and match these and, put them up. Dallas, Carolina, that's a good one to look at. So this one, there are a ton of plays you can go with because anything could happen here. Both teams can move the ball. Rico, we saw what he did last week. Now Chuba's been ruled out, so we can take a look at Rico again. 23 for 206 yards. And he's going up against Dallas, who's given up 4.4 yards per carry. So he's going to get some action. Javonte Williams, he's going up. They're giving up 4.5 yards a carry, so he's going to get some run. And he's getting 16 carries a game. He had this one against Chicago. They got blown out. They didn't. But 15, 18, 20, 16. So they're giving him the ball. He's clearly the RB1. And then 97, 76, 85, and 135. And look at these touchdowns. Talk about a bounce back. He's got 5 touchdowns in 5 games. And his anytime TD is a little high at 190. So, yeah, that might not be the best. But his rush yards, if you can only do over 75.5, that's good. But if you take 60 plus or 50 plus and start mixing it in, I love that. That seems like a no-brainer there. Rico, Jaden Blue, we don't have in there. Pickens. So I believe Sauce Gardner was covering him last week. So he only had 2 catches, 4 targets, 57 yards. But look at all these other, I guess Lamb was out here against Green Bay, and he went 8 of 11 for 134. And then even against Chicago, I don't know if Lamb was out that game or not, but he was 5 of 9 for 68. So I would throw this game out. He basically had a tough matchup, so he definitely should go over here. 71's a little steep. I like this 50 plus, 60 plus receiving yards, especially if it goes back and forth. Another one you can throw in there is McMillan, 4 plus catches. And he's been pretty solid. 5 grabs, 6 grabs, 3 grabs, 4 grabs, 6 grabs. His yardage has kind of been all over the place, but 3 catches, 4 catches. I mean, that's a good one to put in there. Coker's returning, so he'll be in there too. Ferguson is another one. Look at these grabs. I pulled him in a DFS, or not DFS, in a season long league last week, and thank goodness I did, because he had 7 for 49 and 2 touchdowns. He kind of saved me, kept me in the running. But 5 grabs, 9 grabs, 13, 7, 7. I mean, his yardage really is up and down, 23 yards, 40 yards, 49 yards, but these receptions are insane. So I think I went 5+ on my same game parlay. And you can see here this route tree. It's Ferguson and Pickens have the most targets. Those are the 2 guys you want to target. And then over here on the Carolina side, the second one's kind of bounced around a little bit, but McMillan has always been there. He's always been the one. So go ahead and take a look at that one. And let's go ahead and take a look at one more game. And again, I posted all of my same game stuff in the premium chat, all the squares, all the plays, all of those. I think only one of them wasn't updated yet, and that was the San Francisco game. Kansas City, Green Bay, Tampa. Taking a look at this one, one of the plays I do like that I don't have yet is Mac Jones. I was waiting to make sure Brock Purdy was going to get rolled out, but Mac has a prop line of 249.5, which, you could even tease that down to 240, 230, 220, 210, 200 and get good odds on it. But look at what he's done. 279, 284, 342. And San Francisco hasn't really been able to run the ball, and Tampa has a good run defense. So they're going to have to throw, and he's got 3 games all over, and he's coming off a game against the Rams, who have a really good defense, 33 of 49 for 342 yards. Yeah, we got to get some Mac Jones in there in our DFS. McCaffrey, we can't really trust him running the ball. Now, 55.5 is a low number, and that's kind of where he sits, 55, 52, 49, 57. So really no edge there, but look at his receiving. My God. 9 grabs, 6 grabs, 10 grabs, 6 grabs, 8 grabs, and then his yardage is also 53.5, and he's coming off 82, 92, 88, 73. So you could say in just these last 3 games, his floor is 6 grabs and 82 yards. That is phenomenal. So if you're going after that, I like his receptions. I like his receiving yards. You could tease anyone down, and you could probably even get, 25 or 40 receiving yards as a lock. And if you want to go up to this 60 plus, 70 plus, 80 plus that he's consistently doing, that would be a good nuke shot. It just wasn't available, but I did put that as pending. Bucky Irving's ruled out. Rashad White, he can't run the ball, but he did get some action in there. I was really curious in the wide receiver one. So Pearsall's ruled out. It looks like Jennings and Bourne are going to be the 2 that are going to go. So I like both of them. Jennings, when he was the main guy, had 10 targets, 89 and a score. And then when Bourne was the main guy, he had 10 grabs, 142 yards. I kind of lean a little bit more towards Bourne just because Jennings has been so questionable, an ankle. Bourne hasn't. He's been playing. He's there. Abuka. Now, there's no Mike Evans. Chris Godwin was ruled out. I mean, so you're looking at Abuka, Sterling Shepard, and whoever the hell Tez Johnson is as your main guys. So Abuka's going to get a ton of targets, and he's done really well. 85, 101, 163 yards, and his prop 73.5. Okay. He definitely should get that. I like his receptions and receiving yards, and especially if you start teasing it down and putting it together, that looks really good. Otten jumped out there last week with 4 for 81, so keep an eye on him. But yeah, Abuka is your main guy that you're going to go after, and Christian McCaffrey. So if I was building one here, I would do probably Christian McCaffrey, either receptions or receiving yards. Same thing with Abuka. That's going to be 2 of my plays. And then I'm probably going to go with Mac Jones passing, and then one of these receivers, either Jennings or Bourne, and alt them down pretty low. Put those 4 together and get something at plus money. But anyways, I'm going to leave that offer up on Saturday. This is how I walk through the cheat sheet. I posted some plays, some picks. My squares is out there. So anything you guys want to do, good luck. Have a good weekend, and go Chiefs.